and welcome to Henry Kissinger is Pokemon Going to Die. Not a threat.
Just a fact.
My name is Val Flightcub, aka P Butt Edge.
I'm Sara, aka Euro Pete Buttigieg. Deja vu, I'm fixing prices higher. I don't remember how that song goes, really. Kind of petered out there. I know how the part that says deja vu goes. Fixing in the 90s. And I don't know how the rest of that song... Like, I know Eurobeat songs as long as the line where they say the name of the song is.
Yeah! Sandstorm you don't know any of.
No. Well, I probably could actually do Sandstorm start to finish. I have heard that one enough, but that's like the one. Is that Eurobeat? That's more like Euro dance, I guess.
I know so little about music genres.
Eurobeat is like the thing you would imagine like a car drifting to.
I'm liking imagining
You've probably also heard Running in the 90s at some point, just not like the actual words part, but the instrumental behind it is pretty legendary online.
What does it sound like? I probably heard it.
Okay, so now that everyone stopped listening, you want to do some shout-outs?
Yes.
All right. I literally just forgot the thing. I had the Tesla thing, but there was another thing that I wanted to talk. Oh yeah. So shout out number 1. 538's feeling the burn.
Yes.
538 updated forecast on the primary states, and now polls don't mean anything, especially from the least correct man online, Nate Silver. Mm-hmm. But.
It is nice to see.
It is nice to see someone who is just like an absolute is an absolute fucking wonk for polls is finally like feeling the burn about these things. Like he can't deny this. He can't deny the surge because forecast on primary states that Biden has the best chance of winning versus Bernie Sanders. Biden has Alabama and I believe DE is Delaware, and Sanders has everything else on primary state.
Yes.
Every other state.
Yeah. Pete has Iowa, though.
Yeah, Pete sure has Iowa. Oh, my God. Did you see the needle? That shit about the needle?
Yes. Can you explain for our listeners, though?
So, the needle is... Hold on, I want to find the publication that sourced it. Hold on. Nate Cohn from... I'm trying to remember... Sorry, I need these...
I think it's Washington Post?
No, the needle is New York Times, actually.
New York Times.
So they have a thing that they were using called the needle, which for 2 days after Iowa was saying that Pete Buttigieg had a 95% to win Iowa, and Bernie had like less than 1%, and the rest of the numbers were filled in. And then as soon as like the satellite district started reporting that showed Bernie as like actually winning Iowa, they as soon as that inched closer to 50-50, they took the needle off the website and saying Nate Cohn, one of the people who was responsible for the needle, said, "We're going to evaluate, but it sure seems to me that, despite being set up to accept it and model them separately, that the needle does not have the satellite caucuses." And then someone replied to him, "The needle sucks shit, dude." And he says, "Nope, the needle is perfect and only fails when we fail it, as we did tonight."
The needle is disappointed in us.
The needle is so upset with all of us.
God.
You know what? No. They're not mad. They're not mad. You said it right. They're not mad. They're disappointed.
Yeah. They expected better from us.
Yeah. The needle expected us to put better numbers into it that showed Pete winning, but instead the numbers showed Bernie winning, and it's mad at us.
Yeah. So this whole Iowa thing is so weird. Like I would have thought that Pete Buttigieg was so close to dropping out like a week ago.
Yeah.
Like, he's no one to me. He was on the same radar. He was on the same level as, like, wow, I really forgot his name. Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah. It's the exact same person, except for one of them rides a skateboard and the other one is gay.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I cannot wait for Pete Buttigieg's, like, post, like, after he's out of the running. I cannot wait for him to go full, like, divorced dad on Instagram, just like Beto.
I don't know. I don't think he will, because I think if Pete doesn't get the nomination, when Pete doesn't get the nomination this year, he's gonna be like, I'm still young, and he's gonna try again in 4 years.
Oh, he absolutely is.
And he's gonna keep trying until he either gets the nomination, gets tackled publicly by me.
You're gunning for Mayor Pete. Better watch the fuck out.
Like, email from Val Flight Cub Sanders, I'm running.
God, the sequel to It Follows fucking rips.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, either he gets tackled by me, or he gets the nomination, or he kills everyone in the DNC.
And gets the nomination.
Right. There's a song about, from this, album called, am I gonna be able to look this up fast enough for it to be worth it? I think so.
If you can't look it up fast enough, we can just edit it out so it seems like it was fast enough.
Got it. Was that edited? Who knows? It's called 35 millimeter, or 35 mm.
I know I said I could edit, but that's 10 minutes I gotta cut out.
No! It's called 35mm, a musical exhibition, and there's this one song on it. I've only heard this because Spotify plays it for me sometimes. There's a song on it called The Ballad of Sarah Berry, and it's this girl who's, like, obsessed with being prom queen, and her parents are like, high school is the gateway to college, is the gateway to having a good life. Like, if you don't do well in high school, you're nothing. And so she's like, I have to be prom queen. But then this other girl in school, like, breaks both her legs. And so, like, all the other kids are gonna vote for her for prom queen, and, like, her boyfriend, like, feels really bad for her, so, like, isn't gonna take Sarah and is gonna take this other girl to prom. So Sarah Berry starts murdering everyone in school. Like, she starts killing all the other prom court people so that she's the only one left so that she can be prom queen. And the song ends before they, like, announce who it is, but I'm pretty sure that, like, you don't get to stay eligible to be prom queen if you kill all the
ones. If you are in jail for homicide, you don't get to be prom queen.
No, yeah. I don't know, you know, the rules might be a little loosey-goosey, but I don't think that they're...
Yeah, it has been a while since I have been to high school, and I never went to prom either, so I could be completely off base here.
That's not how they did it at my high school, at least.
Well, I mean, I can't say it. Okay, they didn't like it at your school. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But the one other shout out that I wanted to bring up is that hold on a second. The story was updated. I want to make sure that I'm not misreading information. Okay, so there was an update to the story, but it was just to get a quote from the person who sold this Tesla in question. So here is the story. A man named Alec buys a used Tesla from a third-party dealer, bought it via auction. Or no, the third-party dealer had bought the car himself via auction a few months prior, and then was reselling it, and it was like a late, very new model, I believe, like a Model S, very sexy, has the autopilot and stuff, the full self-driving capability. Now, do not get me wrong, this full self-driving capability has been linked to multiple at least one fatality, if not more, and it's not a good thing. However,
it is in the car.
However, yes, it is in the car. And then he bought the car on the 15th, And on the 18th, Tesla audited the car remotely. And the result of the audit was the removal of the full self-driving capability features and the enhanced autopilot. They just patched it out of this man's car. And here, let me read the quote from Tesla that was here's the contact. Alec reached out to contact Tesla, and here's what Tesla had to say. Tesla had recently identified instances of customers being incorrectly configured for autopilot versions that they did not pay for. Since there was an audit done to correct these instances, your vehicle is one of the vehicles that was incorrectly configured for autopilot. We looked back at your purchase history, and unfortunately, full self-driving was not a feature that you had paid for. We apologize for the confusion. If you are still interested in having those additional features, we can begin the process to purchase the upgrade. So,
what?
Yeah.
So the dealer bought it from auction, but when the dealer bought it, it had self-driving.
Yes, when he sold it, it had self-driving as well.
So he bought a car.
But they patched it out of the car.
He bought a car that had self-driving in it. That's him paying for the self-driving.
As what? Well, yes, and then the guy who bought the car from the third-party dealer was like, "Hey, the guy who sold the car to Alec was like, "Hey, so this car's got a whole bunch of features, including autopilot, functional self-driving, or whatever the fuck it's called."
Yeah.
That wasn't free. That wasn't just included part and parcel. That was listed on the car's things that was being sold to Alec.
Right.
Perks of the car. The same way that you would I don't know, 1 year Sirius Satellite XM or something that might cost $10 extra or something, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so because they did not, but Tesla said, "Nuh-uh.
You didn't pay for it."
Nuh-uh.
How far away are we from Tesla's having subscription services in them where you have to pay every month, even after you've bought the car fully, to have some feature in it?
I mean, this is the last step before that.
Yeah.
They could just build it into your auto insurance.
Oh shit!
Also, hey, it's
that?
Matt. I do like the idea that Tesla can just remotely brick your car. Sorry, my other podcast recording went really long.
That's all right. Who are you and what's your name?
My name is Matt. I had a nickname. I already lost it because I'm dumb.
Is it something about Pete Buttigieg?
I apparently didn't write it down. It's fine. I'm Matt. That's fine.
Okay.
So what are we through so far on the show?
We're through all the shout-outs, and then we were going to go into Val's and your topics.
So 538 Feeling the Burn was the first shout-out, and Tesla.
Yeah,
just
remotely bricking cars.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just removing. He didn't pay for it, so.
It just reminds me, there was this story a couple of years ago of people who had to hack their John Deere tractors to upgrade them.
Yes.
Because they had a proprietary license key that you had to do any upgrades on it. And then people made large file sharing servers for new firmware updates to get around it. And that is basically what they're going to have to do. People are going to have to homebrew their Teslas.
Except nobody, but people who bought Teslas will never do that.
No, because they love Elon Musk too much.
I can play my pirated copy of House of the Dead Overkill on my Tesla now.
You can. I wonder what the first Celeste run played on Tesla is going to be.
As I said with the Cuphead version available in Tesla, the first speedrun will be the any percent wrapped around it, the TreeWrap percent.
Go until the car has exploded.
Yeah.
Go until the cartridge is on fire.
Air dashing requires you to rev the engine.
They gotta run Minecraft at top specs to try to explode the car.
Oh god, I hate Tesla so much.
I hate Tesla, and I also just hate technology.
Yeah, I hate Elon Musk. I hate Grime. Did you see that tweet she made yesterday that was I am a virgin?
I sure did.
What?
And Elon Musk has a lot of in vitro children.
It's guaranteed. I am certain.
There's a 0% chance. No.
I feel at the very and that's not me just making assumptions about Grimes. I feel she has posted about having sex before or made songs about it.
She's that specific kind of online.
Yeah. Ugh.
God, it would be nice to think about Elon never having sex.
Well, I mean, that's also probably. I don't think that I would not be surprised if Grimes became homongologungus via in vitro fertilization. I don't think that I don't think that Mr. Musk gave her a single spatter of baby batter direct from the source.
I really hated everything you just said.
So that's shout outs, I think. What do we got for big boy topics?
Big boy topics. Well, we have a topic about a little man.
Oh,
is he a man?
How are his hands? Wait. Hold on. Big update. Boop, 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 boop. I just got a follow on Twitter. Just got a new follower.
Who's your
from
follower?
Hoverboardguides.com.
Are you going to follow back?
I don't think so.
No, yeah.
Let me take a look at some of their most recent tweets. Laws for hoverboards in UK.
Okay.
Looking for the best quality hover shoes, but don't know how to choose the best for you?
No,
you know
I know
what?
how to choose the best for me.
I don't, so I'm really glad that hoverboardguides.com has followed me.
Anyway.
Here's one from last Saturday. Best off-road hoverboard. # buying guide. # latest hoverboards. # hoverboard sale. # hoverboards cheap. # hoverboards for sale. # hoverboards USA. # hoverboards NG. # flinger N. # birthday party. # Greta. # swagway. # bluefin board. # gadget show. # tech.
Swagway?
# Xmas gift. # Saturday morning vibes.
Good lord.
And it was Swagway, SWEG, like the swag of smegma.
Oh, sorry, like the Anyway, Pete Buttigieg is a rat man.
That was probably a typo for segue. Pete Buttigieg, we know ate a cheese.
He did eat a cheese.
No, that's
By
bullshit.
eat a cheese,
I
mean
worked for a company that was at the front of eating a cheese. I had never even heard of the cheese until yesterday.
Much like my Twitter name currently has the bread and stocks emojis to illustrate my position on Pete Buttigieg Breadgate, it now contains a ballot box and a rat.
Rat.
Rat
Mode.
There's this one Tumblr post that uses like really weird fonts to make the word rat like appear like 3 posts up your dashboard.
Yeah,
and that's
I
just
love that post.
That's what I imagine every time that Pete Buttigieg talks.
Rat incoming. Yes. So for people who somehow were asleep during this, the Iowa caucuses is a big complicated situation where everybody stands in a room. It's not a joke. Everyone stands in a room and they have to say who they want to vote for, and then
If you slept through the Iowa caucuses, congratulations on your 4 whole days of slumber.
It's just a solid 96 hours of sleep straight.
sometimes people are sleepy.
Sometimes you just be sleeping.
Sometimes I don't have anything else to say. Sorry.
That's fine. Go on.
So everybody stands in a room, and then if not enough people vote for one person, then it's kind of like ranked choice voting, sort of.
It's a
But
little
it's like, okay,
ranked
which
choice
of these
voting.
6 people do you like? And then it's like, oh, only, the majority of the votes went to, these 3, and those other 3 got 1 person each. So which of these 3 people do you like? And then so on and so forth.
Essentially, if it's less than 15% of the room, they're declared unviable, and you're able to move to another candidate. What I noticed looking at like the first and second choices is that a lot of people for unviable candidates stuck around them, which is very weird. Like that there's like any like Bidens or Steyers in second alignment doesn't really make any sense to me, but it's right there in the numbers.
Do you think Steyer's like gotten a big boost from being a friend to trying to be a friend to Bernie?
I love that he's just Bernie's simp. Like, it's very funny to me.
It's representation.
He's trying to make sure that his back isn't the first against the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, we're not gonna like start saying that Tom Steyer's like good or anything on this podcast, because like his hedge fund investment was primarily in private prisons.
Yikes.
So, like...
He's a billionaire running for president, which is already disqualifying.
Yeah. That enough.
Like...
But, like...
Yeah.
You don't under any circumstance have to hand it to him, but he apparently was one of the better performing people at last night's debate, which, sure, why the fuck not? I couldn't subject myself to more than 5 minutes of it, so I just started watching TV instead.
Some standout moments from the debate, according to my Twitter, were, so Pete Buttigieg was finally asked about the apparent racial profiling that was happening in South Bend while he was mayor, because arrests for like marijuana possession went up among African Americans in South Bend once he became mayor. And like he even said like overall arrests went down, but it's still true that African American arrests went up. And he was like, well, it's because we were targeting gang and violent offenders. Blah, blah.
Golly.
Like, yeah, really said that. And then the moderator immediately went, Senator Warren, was that a substantial answer from Mayor Buttigieg? And she just starts her answer with no.
Just absolutely ethered on stage.
Yeah. And then the other thing that the people I follow on Twitter were like, huh? Was asked a different question. Tom Steyer was like, I think we need to talk about Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy. Like, just nobody asked.
Nobody.
And he was like,
I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that line from Get Out gave us so... Get Out has given us so many good things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, just learning about that line that Bradley Whitford did not realize it was supposed to be a joke.
Oh, God.
Is also very funny.
How do you not
White
realize
people
that's
have
a
privilege, and
goof?
sometimes we don't know. So back to the Iowa caucuses thing. So people stand in a room. They say who they want to vote for. They get a choice to pick a different person if their person isn't popular enough. Blah, blah, blah. It goes and goes and goes. Then you get, based on how many people, each thing is a different, it tallies, and then there's math, and then you carry the, and then you delegates.
And there's
So-
like 3 different ways to count. Mm-hmm. You can
And
count
you'll
the
always
votes.
count by whichever one is the least impressive for Bernie.
Yeah, they started
Yes.
counting by the state delegate equivalence, which is like a complicated math equation, which is the only metric by which Pete Buttigieg won, even with the numbers that were very suspect.
Yes. And the reason that the numbers were suspect was, first of all, they weren't released for a very long time, for no apparent reason. Then it was 62% reporting, like the next day, and Pete Buttigieg was doing really well in that 62%. And then once we were finally up to 100%.
victory.
What?
My man declared victory
He did. He
declared victory with 0% reporting.
with 0% reporting.
Yeah, tweeted out like, "You've really just blown everybody away tonight, Iowa. We're gonna something."
We're gonna go to New Hampshire victorious.
Yep.
And the next day he like tried to backpedal that bullshit.
He was like, just being on the ballot was a victory.
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny looking at Pete Buttigieg's Twitter once you realize that everything he says is just like McKinsey, like political talking point. What's the word I'm looking for? Mad Libs. He's just like, he's literally just shoving words together. So like people of the Chapo sphere have just started replying to all of his tweets with just like political jargon thrown into sentences. And if you just read them as if they were Pete tweets, they would sound like things he would say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he said in the debate, the shape of our democracy is the issue which influences all other issues. Something like that.
That's nothing. This isn't anything.
Right. It's like the freedom of our values is based on the value of our freedoms. And like,
This is less anything than Nancy Pelosi ripping the State of the Union speech in half, which if you didn't discuss it, I just want to say it's nothing. We don't have to talk about it.
it is nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. It's a great GIF.
That's all she does. I didn't even realize, though, that the sarcastic clapping was from last year's State of the Union.
It wasn't
was that
sarcastic clapping. It was regular
I know.
clapping that people
Sorry,
thought
yeah,
was
it was regular
sarcastic.
clapping, and she just claps weird. How was that a year
She went on
ago?
the record as saying, that was a real clap. That was not sarcastic clapping. And, like, still people are, like, dredging that up as an epic own. Like, just in the face of the...
Yeah. Les résistance.
Les resistance.
Yeah.
So the numbers in Iowa were supremely massaged. The way that it was reported was via an app, which,
Yep.
first of all, is a terrible idea.
Yes.
Just
Anyone who's
period.
ever worked in software will tell you should never use software for anything, let alone voting.
And the app didn't really work as well when it didn't have constant access to data, which would happen in a rural community, perhaps, per se.
The rural communities, which happen to contain a lot of working class people and immigrant communities that just happen to vote overwhelmingly for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, just coincidentally.
Question.
Honestly might be coincidence, but is fucking stupid. Yes.
Question. I know like smartphones are largely ubiquitous at some point, but there has to be like some percentage of the population that is still not operating on them. Like what was intended? Like,
I mean, there are just significant portions of Iowa that don't have good data. Like you probably can't even get a 3G connection in some areas that are rural, right?
That too, but I'm also asking, like, what happens if I roll up to this thing and I don't have a smartphone for whatever reason? I've just got like a fucking I don't know, like a.
Well, it's not the voters who are using them.
Yeah, the voters will still use their mouths to talk.
Yeah, it was the app was
standing in a
done by the
room.
precinct captains to report.
No.
Another reason why the app was stupid, there are so many, but here's another, is that they couldn't put it officially on an app store. So they had to put it through one of those like beta app downloaders, which have a hard limit of 200 people when there are like several more precincts than that. And would involve the kind of people who work elections, which are generally older middle-aged people who have time to kill, having to understand what side-loading an app means. Which I know people my age who don't know what that means.
I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, it literally just means loading an app, usually on Android, because I don't think Apple allows you to do that. Loading an app outside of the App Store environment. So, like, you're literally downloading the file that is the app program and installing it yourself.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I don't ever want to have to do that.
I do it all the time for apps that aren't allowed on the App Store for reasons like encouraging piracy. Like my torrent app is downloaded that way because the normal one is just not allowed on the store.
And that's the app, Matt, that you downloaded onto your phone, but you don't use, right? You just have it on your phone for decoration.
Yeah, no, it's just there for fun.
Yeah. You just like the icon.
It's really cool. It actually is a very nice icon.
You needed like a ninth yellow app icon to put in your yellow app folder.
It's green.
Well, you could have yes-anded me, but
But you
still put it in
I
his yellow
appreciate
app
your dedication to truth-telling.
I have to tell the truth.
So what were we saying? Oh yeah. So not only is just like, was this going to fail regardless because apps are not good? Period.
Yeah.
Yes.
The app was also created by seemingly Pete stans. All of them were people that, or like a lot of the people that created the app were really big Hillary fans in 2016.
Yeah. Yep.
The husband of the developer, like the main person, CEO of the app, is a Pete contributor, I think?
It's his director of communications, I'm pretty sure.
His director of communications.
And the CEO of the app is either Tara McGovern or Tara McGowan. I can't remember which it is.
I don't know either.
Vague names.
I'm going off the dome for this one, so.
Yeah.
So it's very suspicious. As if that wasn't shady enough.
Did you mention the name of the app?
Yeah, that's as if that wasn't shady enough. The app is created by a business literally called Shadow.
No. The app was Shadow. The business was Acronym.
Acronym. Oh, okay. the app is Shadow. The business's acronym. First of all,
are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you for real?
First of all, shout out to my BF, my IRL BF, who said people are talking so much about Shadow, but the company that made it is acronym, and we don't even know what they stand for.
Hey, it's pretty good,
right? He said it better. I don't think I said it correctly, but.
That said, the whole reason that they created acronym in the first place was to create a digital environment for fighting.
Sorry, I would like to correct myself from earlier. Shadow is a tech company that is a subsidiary of Acronym.
Okay. The app, I'm sure, just had some kind of generic app name. But
yeah, it was probably just like Iowa Caucus app.
Yeah, so basically...
version 1.06.
The reason why Acronym was created was to fight the fact that Donald Trump has, very good digital marketing. They are pushing nonstop ads on digital platforms, pretty much constantly, to the point where, they're trying to ban political advertisements on some of them because the effect has gotten so great. But the problem is that the entire app is made by, Democratic Party insiders who don't know anything, let alone how to make an app. Because there's been people who have looked through the code, and it looks like someone who is doing a tutorial of learning Ruby, which is the programming language that it's written in.
God.
It literally just looks like basic tutorial stuff. They didn't get anyone who's done this before. It looks like they just found whoever's kid used computers the most and said, "Hey, learn Ruby for this," because they didn't want to pay anyone market rate.
The fun thing is that someone at, I don't know if it was someone at Acronym or Shadow, but they went on record and they were like, yeah, not to throw anyone under the bus, and then while they were curling someone up into a ball and throwing them directly into the path of a children's school bus, they followed that up by saying, but this app looks like it was made by a toddler.
Oh my God.
Not actually, they said the thing, actually I think they said the thing that Matt said, it looks like someone made a basic thing and
it was a coding boot camp is what it looked like.
Yes, yeah,
It was the phrasing that I saw.
But they prefaced it I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but...
But here I am to do that right now.
But this is what it would look like if I did.
Doesn't that look fucking sweet?
What would be a worse name for this app company than Shadow?
DARPA's real. I was just thinking Fox Die.
Yeah. That sounds more like a government conspiracy than anything else, so that works. Apparently the reason why they called it Shadow is because next to the light, there's always shadow, and we're always chasing the light. Just dumb corporate idiot speak like that.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
That's why Giorno Giovanna had to beat the shit out of them in order to win Vento Oreo.
I know that's JoJo, but that's all I know about what you said.
I thought you watched
me
JoJo,
too.
Matt. Never mind. Damn.
Also, so what if it was called the Beat Buttigieg app company?
Yeah, I guess that would be slightly more suspicious.
I watched a lot of
Hello, my name is Mr. Snrub. I think they should put the money back in the nuclear plant. I like the way Snrub thinks.
Oh God! Wait, how do you say Buttigieg backwards?
Hi, I'm Eteb Egeg. Wait, hold on. I'm Eteg Gay Tub.
Dang, you did it. I'm really proud of you, Sarah.
Eteb Gay Tub.
Our first gay Egyptian president.
It even says gay right in the. It says it right on the tin.
Twice. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Lucas Cruikshank videos, and he plays these apps designed for straight men that are dating simulators. And one of them is by a company called Wet Productions. So would we like the Iowa caucuses better if they were tallied, the votes were tallied and calculated by Wet Productions app?
I mean, that would just make me think that our very wet president is involved.
Damn.
Because our president is also wet.
Wet Productions Inc. Acronym is a ridiculous name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the whole...
The only better name would have been Anagram.
Yeah.
Or like...
But basically, like, what it comes down to is so much more complicated than I'm able to explain. I know Virgil of Chapo did a really good thread on it where he, like, basically point by point said where all the problems are and how caucuses normally work. And, like, the math around it is just so blatantly dumb. It's like an abstraction of an abstraction of an abstraction. Like, I always thought the Electoral College itself is stupid, but knowing that the Electoral College is based on, like, smaller and smaller chunks of just the same thing, where the number keeps getting massaged and massaged and massaged, and it's not just votes. It's votes of votes of votes. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And the long and short of it is... no one gets to censor this word this week because everyone knows now that rat fucking is a term. Alex censored me last week because she didn't know that rat fucking is a genuine political term that has been used before. It just seems particularly funny when involving Mr. Pete Buttigieg.
He looks like a rat. I didn't think so at first. Like, the first time I read a tweet that was like, Pete Buttigieg kind of looks like a rat. I was like, he kind of looks like a rat. I guess I could see that. But now, I just keep thinking of that picture of him eating a Cinnabon.
Where he's torn it up into little pieces and it looks like he's eating chicken wings.
And
like
he's holding one little piece with two hands on either side, his little nibbling.
Bernie used the word nibbling around the edges when referring to Pete Buttigieg in the debate. And there's no way that wasn't on purpose. Someone told him.
Someone told him to say that. He doesn't read Twitter.
No.
So
he doesn't understand what an app is, and that's why Bernie Sanders is the most valid of every single candidate.
Oh my God, his answer about cancel culture. Yes.
Did you see that video? Did you see that video of someone interviewing him and be like, "Hey, you ever read Harry Potter? If you give the sock to Mitch McConnell, he'll be free because he's a house elf for Donald Trump." And Bernie's just like, "Yeah, that's very. I'll make sure that he gets that."
I have to give this to him.
Oh my God!
I'll see that he gets it. Yeah.
I was like
Hassan Minaj.
I'm so glad that Bernie Sanders doesn't know what Harry Potter is. I think that's the thing we could hope most for our president is that he doesn't fucking know what Harry Potter is.
Yes. I saw on Twitter today, this is not really related to Harry Potter, but I just saw a picture from Pete Buttigieg's high school yearbook that said he was one of the two people elected most likely to become president of the United States. And I was just like, oh, he's been plotting this.
That's what I was gonna say. Like the reason why you haven't seen that many rat photos of him is that I don't think that many
because when we scheming, we plotting, we scopping.
I don't think that many candid photos of him exist because his entire existence is calculated.
That was a really good jopping joke, but okay.
I'm sorry, I
didn't understand it.
You don't know how to jop? No. It's a thing I picked up only through osmosis, but I'm pretty sure it's a K-pop thing. Because when we're jumping, we're popping, we're jopping.
Oh.
I see.
So he's scheming and plotting.
He's scotting? He's scotting.
Okay.
Maybe he would be doing better in the polls if his name was Scott Buttigieg.
I really do love that yearbook photo because it shows us the people that can stop him. Mm-hmm. There are two people named most likely to be president of the U.S., one of which is Peter Buttigieg. Mm-hmm. And then most likely to overthrow the government are Casey Maynard and Pete Kowals. Where are they? Where are they now?
Casey
are
and
they
Pete.
Coming to save us?
Wait,
that was the guy that was in
Peter and Pete? Was it seriously Peter Buttigieg and Pete Kowals, on opposite sides of the... Two Peters, you will know.
Yeah, the other Peter literally has his arms, like his hands around his neck as if he is assassinating him.
There are two Petes inside you. One Peter is gay and wants to be president. The other craves anarchy. You are...
I'm posting it in... Oh, no, sorry, that's Poke Chat, not Podcast Chat. I can't read. Podcast Chat. There we go. Here is the photo.
It's so good.
It's a very good photo.
The fucking halfway between he looks like he's about to do a finger gun thing.
Yeah, but he's trying to do a thumbs up at the same time.
He's doing I think he's trying to do the Bill Clinton fist thing where he isn't pointing, but he's not making a fist, so his like thumb is sticking out. It's not
he
like
couldn't decide
politician
between
thingy.
He couldn't decide between a thumbs up and a finger gun because he's a centrist.
Well, to be fair,
Exactly.
he was running out of oxygen. Pete Kowals was not fucking around in that photo.
Yeah, I do love that the
This
person.
what if this is Pete Kowals? Like he got fucking sent back in time for this. like he looks like his like fucking. You remember? Did you see? Do you know Days of Future Past? The Wolverine's like future self is projected into the body of his younger self. It's that. Like, he had Days of Future Past, and this is his attempt to overthrow the government.
Also, shout out to a friend of the show, Naama, who's the one who tweeted it.
Yes.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Continues
friend
to
of the
be a legend.
Continues to be a legend.
Yeah. What if Pete Kowals grew up to go on to be a reporter and say things like, you worked for a company that was fixing bread prices?
Yeah.
Maybe that's
nice.
Pete Kowals. Do we know what that guy's name is?
It's someone for the New York Times, so you
I
don't have to
don't.
hand it to him.
Oh, okay, fine.
But
I won't. Pete Kowals' day will come.
But yeah,
And Casey
basically,
Maynard's will too.
it's really frustrating. Like, Pete declared himself a winner with 0% reporting, and a lot of places like kind of ran with it, and he took a pretty big bump in the polls because of it. Bernie Sanders waited like 3 days to declare himself victorious. It was when 97% of precincts were reported, and he was ahead in both in the popular vote, tied for delegates with Pete, and then the state delegate equivalents, which is like the weird math numbers, was the only places he was behind.
And he was
even
trying
then,
like a fraction of a percent.
yeah, it was like there was enough errors that were like reported by multiple outlets, including the New York Times data guy, that like it was functionally a toss-up.
Yeah.
And people are like really pissed that he said he's won. And by people, I mean like, pundits, because all pundits need to be thrown into the sea.
Speaking of pundits, did y'all see the Democrats were out in full force for the debate last night?
I did not.
Did y'all see that famous Democrats Rahm Emanuel and Chris Christie were in attendance?
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
Rahm Emanuel is technically a Democrat, apparently.
Sure, but he's also one who didn't like he's also
he's one of the worst human beings alive. We don't need to litigate it, but
he's currently
But like Chris Christie literally ran for the Republican office.
Right? Why is he there?
Why is he there? It doesn't make any sense, folks.
I don't know.
And yeah, so I'm interested to see how this carries into New Hampshire, especially after Pete's just absolutely abysmal debate performance. I don't under any circumstances have to hand it to Amy Klobuchar. I like that she basically just exists on stage to bully Pete Buttigieg. It's very, very funny to me.
Of course she's gonna. He looks like a generic campaign staffer. She just wants to throw Biden's at him.
She has to restrain herself from throwing a stapler at him at all times.
Some fun facts about Pete Buttigieg. He has monetary support from 6% of America's billionaires. So 40 out of the 621 of them have
Why are there
donated
that
to
many?
his campaign. I don't know.
The fact that there's like well over 600 billionaires, I hate it. I hate to see it.
Yeah. And yet we only have like 1 or 2 guillotines so far. 1% support of Latinos at all, according to the latest polls, and 0% supporting Pete Buttigieg of black people. In latest polls.
He sure hasn't increased that poll number at any point.
Donald Trump has higher support among black Americans than Pete Buttigieg does. What does that tell you?
It's so wild that he's like the favored DNC class candidate. Like pundits love this guy. Like weird Twitter libs love this guy.
Yeah.
And it's like you've never in your life known a ruthless social climber. Like he's such
Right.
he's such a type. And it's such a type of person that if you know a Pete Buttigieg in your life, you wouldn't trust him to like watch your dog for a day.
There's an old Justin McElroy quote that I think of, which is he was talking about when the guys who made Eternal Darkness did a Kickstarter for Eternal Darkness 2.
Yeah.
And the line was just basically, I would not trust these motherfuckers to hold on to my dog if I had a separate leash of my own also attached to my dog at the same time.
It's a shame because Eternal Darkness was a good game. It'd be nice to have another one that was good, but you know.
That company does not do money.
No, they do not. But it's like it just seems like such a fundamental disconnect between punditry and like I guess like the online circles in which I inhabit are not necessarily like the average American person, mostly because I'm not American, but also just because like
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like extremely online is such a sphere now.
Yeah, there are people
And
that
it's
all the
like-
information they get is from watching the Democratic debates.
Or just watching cable news in general, which is horrifying to think about. Mm-hmm. Because, like, yeah, cable news, even on like the ostensibly Democrat-friendly platforms, is just nothing but like anti-immigrant, anti-worker propaganda 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. Canada's also particularly bad for that. Between our major networks, they're basically all Rupert Murdoch productions in some way or another. So,
would you like to talk about Canadian cable now?
So I wasn't necessarily going to talk mostly about Canadian media, but mostly just about like a specific event in the Canadian sphere right now. Which
All right.
I mean, I guess I can start with media because it has been mostly ignored by the larger media circles. CBC has like one article on it, and I think they might have a reporter on the ground. CTV hasn't covered it at all. Like Global, I don't think has covered it at all. Anything that they're covering are only protests, and the only way they're covering protests is in the look how inconvenient these protests are making it. So let's start with the story here. There's a liquid natural gas company, so this is like, you know, fracked natural gas. So that's where we're starting, you know, resource extraction, because that is a large amount of Canada's industry, and thus it comes up a lot in both labor and in Indigenous issues. Coastal GasLink wants to build a pipeline through a large section of northern British Columbia. They have agreements with several of the Indigenous bands that are along the route that they intend to build, but one that has always been a sticking point has been the Wet'suwet'en people.
Okay.
And they own like they own further sidebar. Most of Canada as a legal basis is based entirely on treaty agreements with First Nations, to which the title holders of the land are still technically these First Nations bands, and Canada is allowed to operate on its soil with certain conditions. That's like how this works. This comes up a lot in Alberta because technically the treaty rights for Alberta extend to the depth of a plow. So you know, a couple feet into the ground at most, and yet that's the place where most oil is extracted. So as you can naturally imagine, these treaties are broken constantly. One thing that was set up by the colonial government that calls itself Canada and enforces its rights over these lands is they set up tribal bands that are essentially elected governments that control the lands of certain bands. So like a certain tribe will have an elected council government, and this is all done under the Indian Act, which is like the act that governs most Indigenous stuff in Canada, and it's a piece of shit that needs to go away long ago.
Okay.
So what the Wet'suwet'en hold is that the tribal band council does not hold the legal title over decisions made about the land. The Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs hold it, and the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs, along with like a significant portion of the people, do not want this pipeline going through their land. So they have set up a lot of checkpoints along the roads. They've blocked RCMP access in a lot of places. And what's basically happened is the RCMP have been a tool of colonial violence and have repeatedly broken the law, the actual law of the land, to have the protesters removed, to have people removed from their own actual lands. Their own surveys have brought up like bodies, and they refuse to recognize like the fact that some parts are burial grounds, some parts are sacred lands.
Oh my God.
They were literally offered another alternate route by the Wet'suwet'en people that still goes through their lands, but bypasses some of the sacred lands that are most important, and they flatly rejected it and offered one where they go apart for a couple kilometers, then they come back and bulldoze right through it. So essentially, they don't want to play ball in any way, and it has come to pretty much a head right now. I don't know how to explain exactly how the checkpoints work, but essentially they're going along the road and clearing people out of it, and that's how they've been going towards the site to continue construction, and they're not allowing journalists to come really look at it at all. One person who I've been following, the media collective Ricochet, which is a left media coalition in Canada, of which the Alberta Advantage, who I reference often, are a part of. They have one journalist, Jerome, I have the last name here somewhere, I'll find it later, who is on the ground there and has essentially been forced back repeatedly from 5 meters is how close you're supposed to be able to be to observe at all times, and has been regularly forced out of the range of Wi-Fi, because this is rural British Columbia.
Wow.
And you're not going to be able to take pictures or communicate. He's been repeatedly arrested and been forced to leave and been pushed around by the RCMP, who are basically just some of the journalists that they've let in have been Rebel News. Because they love the alt-right wing publications in Canada because they're going to support their story. The same people I mentioned last week as breaking the strikes against Co-op Refinery. So again, these people are just basically here to shit on Indigenous people in general. So that's the long and short of the story. So
Wow.
I want to basically let people know that even in a government that's ostensibly ruled by a left-winger of Justin Trudeau, and even in the province of BC, which is a NDP Green coalition, have done absolutely nothing to support this. And this is the same two governments that say that they want to adopt the UN's Rights of Indigenous Peoples framework. And have very much not done that. And I really don't know what the play is. This doesn't play well with the NDP's base, which is labor movements and Indigenous peoples. This doesn't play well. This plays well with oil interests and oil interests alone. Right. And this isn't something that's, we can't have another pipeline in the first place. That's what it comes down to. This is ostensibly the better pipeline in that it's liquid natural gas, which is it produces carbon dioxide, but at a far lesser rate than more pollutant fossil fuels. But, fracking is a horrendous process that makes your water on fire. And even with the numerous concessions that have been offered to make this go away, that is amenable to all sides of the debate, they're insistent on pushing it through with the rule of force. And the long and short is fuck the RCMP, fuck the British Columbia NDP, fuck Justin Trudeau, and fuck Coastal GasLink.
Fuck them all.
Yeah, where this is coming now is there have been Indigenous youth have taken over a part of the legislature in British Columbia and have basically just locked themselves to the steps.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Jerome Turner, there's the last name, has been prevented from doing his job, but is still in the area, still getting pictures and still posting updates. I think they're looking to post more articles on the Ricochet site, which is ricochet.media, if you want to follow this story further. It's also ricochet_EN on Twitter. They have a French version as well, if anyone who listens to this podcast prefers to read it in French.
Nice.
And the main thing that civil liberties places are covering is the fact that journalists are being arrested, and not the huge violations of indigenous sovereignty, but you got to start somewhere. So at least that is being recognized as fucked up, even though it's a whole bunch of layers of fucked up.
Right.
They've also solidarity protests have also locked several rail lines in trying to block GasLink trains and other trains as protest. I know
Nice.
they blocked a lot of stuff in Toronto today, and all support to those people. Couldn't really be there today, but I really need to join one of these protests because, you know, as much as I love complaining online, I feel like we all need to do more in the actual world.
Yeah.
That's one thing, like, I often find the Chapo guys to be a bit too edgy for my tastes. Mm-hmm. But one thing that they 100% do is the work. They are on the ground. They are organizing. They are consistently showing up to events. And that is so much more than a lot of people can say. And that includes us. So that's why in this situation, we do have to hand it to them. And that's about as clear as I'm able to get with it. So I think I can end that subject there. And I very much encourage everyone to look into this further. Ricochet is probably the best people to follow about this because the CBC have mostly been useless. I follow a couple of CBC reporters that have been like putting more stuff on their own personal timelines, but like the actual editorial at CBC has been very bad for covering things other than like the rail lines being shut down in Toronto because of the protests. So yeah, I'll retweet some relevant links onto the HKIP Twitter as well for reference.
Right. What fucks me up about that story, I mean, besides all of it, is that, like, it's not like the two sides are butting heads and neither are budging. Like, the tribe is trying to compromise at least.
Right. Like, it's a lot of what comes up with these kind of resource companies is that the way that the Indian Act has indigenous people kind of, like, by the hair at all times is that they are forced into a position of relative poverty where making deals with resource companies is often in their best interest monetarily, which is very unfortunate. Like, it's basically they're held hostage. And the idea of working for better conditions with these companies is seen as being ungrateful for, like, this service being offered to them.
Ew.
And it's so fucking disgusting. Like, it's a big thing that comes up a lot with the Ring of Fire, which is it's a lot less cool than it sounds. It's a resource area in Northern Ontario that happens to cover a lot of Indigenous bands that has never been developed because they essentially cannot find a framework in which it doesn't completely fuck these people over. Because it's a lot of minerals that extracting them can poison the groundwater. And even if, like, all the employees at this place were Indigenous, they'd all have to move afterwards. And, like, people have been consistently for years talking about how the people who live there are ungrateful for this opportunity that can get them a lot of money for this resource extraction. But, like, Canada pays absolutely garbage. Companies operating in Canada pay garbage royalty rates compared to most places for resource extraction. Like, the North is basically just a fucking free-for-all. It's resource companies coming in, leaving toxic pits of sludge, and then fucking off or declaring bankruptcy to offload the actual effects of cleanup to the government to pay. And, like, we, as in, like, the so-called nation of Canada, doesn't actually even, like, get anything to do this. So, like, they socialize the risk and privatize the profit, and that is like the general mode of capitalism, but in particular it's how every resource company in Canada operates, like, to its absolute maximum. And it's so frustrating to see people who really just don't get how, like, there's generational trauma involved in so much of how Indigenous relations work and how that actually intersects with how they deal with these proposals. Yeah. And so, like, it's understandable if they're like, how about we don't get fucked by this? Yeah. Like, how about we actually have, like, some kind of decent deal to work with here, or we don't have a deal because we don't want a fucking pipeline through here at all. Right. And because, like, I think that's basically where it's settled now. Like, it's like, you didn't want to play ball, then we're not going to fucking play ball either. Right. And all the power to them. Like, no one, as far as I know, has been killed yet, but it's only a matter of time with the way that the RCMP are acting. Like, there was a news release, which I referred to on the last episode, where they said that they would use lethal force if necessary in one of their like private exchanges that got leaked. And it's like, they have snipers on site. Like, it could happen anytime.
Oh my god. That's horrific.
This is the kind of story that you have to watch. This is when people dismiss environmental movements as being largely white. This is the kind of story they're ignoring. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of story that is very important as, like, the resistance against colonial government, 1, fossil capital, 2. Like, those are the two driving powers that are keeping climate change running long and strong.
Yeah.
And we have people who are actively resisting it, who are being literally just under the boot of the state.
Mm.
So this is a story to follow if you care about anything, really. Like, there are so many angles from this is a story to follow. So I highly recommend keeping up with Ricochet on Twitter and other links that I will put onto your timelines.
Word. Well, thank you, Matt. I have one more shout out that I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode. This is an extremely light story. Derek Nadi, who is from the Kansas City football team, he said that he would pay the adoption fees of some dogs, and he worked out a partnership with a Missouri animal rescue organization, and for every win of his team, he'd pay a dog's adoption fee. So during the season, they'd won 15 games, and he paid the adoption fee of 15 dogs. And then he said that he would pay for every dog's adoption fee if his team won. And he did. Yeah. And there was 109 dogs, average adoption fee of $150. He paid for that. Celebrity chef Rachel Ray chipped in, offered a free supply of pet food, which I think she has her own pet food, like dog food brand. So that one's less.
The thing about rich people giving anything is that it often will come with some kind of interest. But in this case, in his case, like, that's just a nice thing to do.
Yeah, and all of the dogs got adopted.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was just a really sweet story. So I wanted to shout that out.
That's a good shout out.
Yeah.
Well, we were really just hanging on 2 topics today, so I'm good to move into, like, our later sections of Lightbringers.
Me as well. Would you like to go first?
I can go first. This one is a Lightbringer that has already been mentioned on the podcast, but I wanted to do it again anyway, because it wasn't by me. And it's been watching some anime, and I just watched the first 5 episodes of Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. Which is, Sara had mentioned it previously. It's about 3 girls who decide to make anime. And the episode is the episodes are basically just like full love letters to animation. And all the episodes pretty much end with 2 of the girls ending up in, like, their own heads. And they're kind of just, like, running around like these, like, sketchily animated things that look like they drew and animated them. So it's like looking into their imagination.
Oh.
If anyone remembers the obscure Canadian television show of Stickin' Around, it's the same idea.
I personally don't, but
some people might recognize Stickin' Around. It was a pretty decent show. That was, like, they go into their imagination and everything looks like it's kind of drawn. And cool. It's basically about their journey forming a club at their school to make the anime, and also working with other clubs and working with the student council. It's very cute. The theme song is by Chelmico, and it's a track called Easy Breezy, and it's so good that I know we said we could end with that Pete fixed the bread prices, but I really want to end with Easy Breezy, so we might put both. We might have 2 songs in there. We might have to do both.
We could just retweet that the song, and then put the Easy Breezy as the outro.
It's very true. And I've been very much enjoying it. So that is my Lightbringer this week.
Nice. I can't think of a Lightbringer. My Lightbringer is Elementary again. It's a good show.
It's a good show. Hey, we don't have to do anything.
It's true. We never have to do anything. I forget to bring nicknames most weeks, so. Yeah. And now here's Sarah's Lightbringer from before she left.
Yeah, so my Lightbringer this week is going to be, you know what the fuck time it is. It's anime time, baby. An anime that I've really been enjoying this season is called Inspector. It's IN / and then Spectre, like a ghost, SPECTRE. It is about a girl who, at the age of 12, was kidnapped by the spirits of the forest, and was basically brought on to be like a mediator for like spirit world, like anomalies, basically, kind of like Mob Psycho 100 a little bit, except for she was chosen instead of just kind of like randomly having that power. And in exchange for being able to see the spirits, she had to give up an eye and a leg. So she has a prosthetic eye and leg, and beats the shit out of some spirits, and does some mediation with other spirits. Like, the entire second episode is just her talking to the snake spirit of a lake about like someone who like tried to hide a body in the river or in the lake like years ago. And that's the entire episode. It's fucking good as hell. I really like it. I'm excited to watch more of it. It's really funny too. There was a scene where a character was like there was this idol character who like went AWOL from the public scene for a while, and they said she posted one last tweet to all of her fans before she disappeared. Then the tweet appears on screen and it's just, "I'll be back later, my dudes."
Nice.
Which made me giggle. But yeah, Inspector, it's really good. This season is fucking stacked as far as anime goes. My next Lightbringer is probably going to be another anime, just because there's so many this season that I can't not recommend.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
If people want to hear more from us, we've mentioned the Twitter a few times. We are on Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook and Reddit as HKIPGTD. Shout out to Reddit user Bisexual Punch Party for setting up our Reddit. And we're also HKIPGTD on Patreon. So if you want to become a patron, you can. No one's stopping you, and you should. Because when you donate even $1 a month, you get access to all of our bonus content, like extended Lightbringers, Cut for Time, pre-show, post-shows.
That one time we had a mid-show.
What? When was that?
It was one time where Zoe's mic stopped working and we were just kind of talking. So we called it a mid-show. The
rare mid-show. And if you donate $5 a month, you get your name read you get access to all of that. You get your name read on the podcast, and you get the special role of Comrade in our Discord. If you donate $10 a month, you get everything we've already said, plus you don't get the role of Comrade, because you get the role of Conrad, which is even specialer, and
it's like Comrade but yellow.
It's like Comrade but yellow and with the letter N.
Yeah.
And no E, because who needs an E?
You don't need it, folks.
You don't, and you especially don't need it to listen along live to the podcast as we record, which Craig is doing right now. So,
and Stephanie was doing earlier.
Stephanie was doing
food
earlier. Oh, that was a good decision.
I know, I'm very excited to eat, because I've been recording podcasts for almost 4 hours straight now.
All right. That is
that's how it is.
Podcasting. So.
But yeah, so as we said, we read our $5 and $10 patrons on the podcast, and here they are. We have A Sexual Fish Tank, Alex H., Alex Schaup, Alex Hoot, Ashinu, Bryant, Bryce, Burgermeister, Chaz Goblin, David Besser, Destry Hawk, Dijonais, Florian Siegel, Jacob Sears, Jane Wick, Maximilian Rower, Nave Noel Williams, Nick Clarkson, Non-Binary with Left Beef, Patrick Van Brunt, Paul Blart, Fleshcart, Pregnant Seinfeld, PR the Disaster, Stephanie Ruff, Summer Geist, The Tallest Jew, Tufster McGee, Win, and ooh, that's a new one right here. Your Sapphic Minecraft Bee Wife. Hell yeah.
Thank you to all of our patrons. And is that podcast?
I'm Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattGCN. I have other podcasts on this, the Noisepace.xyz network, including Giants Confirmed, which we just recorded our new episode literally directly before this, and indeed during the first part of this episode, during which I was not here.
Yes.
It was a very long one. I don't know when it'll be out, because it will probably be a bit of a long edit, because it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes of audio. And I do Elite Full Restore, Pokemon podcast, which there should be a new episode recording somewhere in the next week. I just have to get some people wrangled. And I also do Tuning Fork with my friend David, where we just talk about the music that we all bonded together on. So lots of podcasts. Love to hear myself talk.
Love it. And we love noisepace.xyz, which is, of course, the hosting website for HKIPGTD as well. And we want to say thank you to the handsome host of that website, who is...
And that's me.
Is Matt.
And we also have to thank the Taxpayers for the use of their song Evil Men from Cold Hearted Town, which is our theme song.
Yes. I'm Val Flight Cub. You can find me on Twitter at flightcub.com. Nope. You can find me...
You tried.
You can find me on Twitter as FlightCub. So it's Flight Cub
B's.
with a second B on it, because the second B stands for Barry B. Benson.
Nice.
The B from the B movie.
What's that B? What's that B? The B in the middle there stand for?
That B stands for B.
Oh, nice.
He's a B.
It's because he's a B.
It's because he's a B. Memento Pokemore.
Memento Pokemon.
からまたからかった奴らは浮かに行っちゃった誰に頼まれたわけでもないのに止まらねえ腕ここでは誰もが王様なので